An absolutely disgusting performance for the Toronto Blue Jays in this series. And what does it lead to? A series loss. And luckily, not a series sweep.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now, the number one sports podcast network, your team every day.
Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. The biggest stage in world soccer is here. Let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. As always, I'm Brayden Iwasko. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Brayden5 Iwasko, Carter First 2, as well on our main Twitter account at Locked On Jays. Hit the subscribe button if you have not already. A lot to get into after a straight-up brutal series from the Toronto Blue Jays. There is a lot that is going to be said on this podcast, and there's not a lot of good things, I'll tell you that. Some quotes from Ross Atkins from the other day that we'll get into that we didn't have time to cover yesterday, so we'll let you in on everything that he had to say. Plus, obviously, a series preview coming your way. Carter, I'm just going to start here. In your mind, it's hard to say. I want to say one of the worst series of the year, but I don't necessarily think it is, but it was horrible nonetheless.
There's been a lot of series that have felt exactly like this, where the Toronto Blue Jays have had opportunities to win a series and maybe even sweep a series, and it just hasn't gone their way because of their own doing, them shooting themselves in the foot over and over and over again. It seems like it's the same story, but it's different players and it's happening in different ways. Sort of the same themes. It's either base running, it's defensively. Brayden's so mad he's throwing stuff around. He can't get, the train back on the tracks here. The emotions are all over the place. I'm in the exact same boat. It's frustrating. It's continuing to stack up. If you win these games, the games that you've honestly thrown away in a lot of instances, there's probably at least 5. You could even go further if you go back in the schedule and look at exactly which games the Toronto Blue Jays have thrown away themselves. There's 6 to 8 wins in that. And that's the difference between you being 2 games below 500 and battling still somehow for a wild card spot in the American League, or being firmly in that wild card spot and maybe even having a chance still to kind of take a run at this division. We've said that was out of the cards about a month ago. And it's because of the way this team continues to play. We have seen it get a little bit better in terms of the offense, showing you some sort of signs at times. The bullpen, we're starting to see them, have some more blow-ups recently. That could be in terms of the overusage. There's a lot of different things it could be, just, peaks and valleys of a baseball season as well. It's tough to watch these games. It's tough to lose the ways that the Toronto Blue Jays are losing. And there's going to be a reason why we're complaining for the majority of this podcast.
I want to give a shout out. Jim Haller from our comment section. He's in our fantasy group chat. He says, similar to the Yankee series, win the first, lost the 2 in the 11th hour. And that's exactly how this feels. It feels like this team has the win, or you think that, hey, they got a pretty good shot at it and they just throw it away. Carter, to me, we have to start at the Jeff Hoffman play. Absolutely one of the worst things I've ever seen. And you know what? I was ready to say, hey, this guy looks a whole lot better. The control, the command. And then he goes and pulls this. And don't get me wrong, he got hard hit deep into left field. That was a hard hit ball.
That's a bad splitter, though.
Bad splitter. Absolutely terrible. But then to add on to that, he would have gotten out of that inning if he did not do what he just did. Looks over to third base, tries to make a pickoff move to third base. Okamoto's not even on the bag. Like, he just throws it and says, here, have a run. It was like Nate Pearson in the second game trying to give the Blue Jays the win. Jeff Hoffman was like, I don't want my team to win this game. That's exactly how that felt, because the offense, which we'll get into, was doing absolutely nothing.
And there's a little bit more backstory to this Jeff Hoffman play. For sure, it's on Jeff Hoffman. That's a horrible throw. But that felt weird in the moment. It didn't feel like that was a design play. It didn't feel like everyone on the field knew what was going on. And John Schneider elaborates on this. He says, on that pickoff play at third base, there was a miscommunication between Jeff Hoffman and Kazuma Okamoto. Okamoto thought that the pickoff play was coming from the catcher. Obviously, that did not happen. Okamoto had no idea that the ball wasn't coming, I guess. If you're waiting for the catcher, you're not going to assume that your pitcher's giving you a pickoff move. Jeff Hoffman kind of looks at Okamoto. Probably is a little bit weirded out and is taken by surprise that he's not on the base. However, there's multiple things that you can do in that scenario instead of throwing the ball into right field. It's not even close to where Okamoto's standing. Even if you are taken by surprise, it simply just can't happen. So maybe not just Jeff Hoffman at the fault there. Sure. Maybe Alejandro Kirk in the mix as well. If he was the one that called that pickoff play, clearly Jeff Hoffman saw it. Gausman Okamoto, miscommunication, whatever it is. It's just the same story that continues to happen over and over with this team. It's little things like that. Like, you can't have a miscommunication with a runner on third in the 8th inning. It's simply something that cannot happen if you want to be a serious baseball team. So that was unfortunate. And then you look at the other side of that 8th inning. You have an opportunity. Urias gets on base. There's a wild pitch to Yainer Diaz. He's getting to second. George Springer puts a pretty decent swing on the ball. Hits the ball pretty much 340, but it doesn't matter how far you hit it. You got to watch the ball hit the turf. And clearly Cam Smith makes a good play, but you cannot get doubled up. It's just the exact same thing, is that you have an opportunity. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is coming up right after. Is he going to get a hit? I mean, the way things have been going, probably not, but at least give him the opportunity to either come up big in that moment or let us down once again. At least give him a chance to, write his own story to the ending of that baseball game. But continuing on with the little things that, honestly, you learn that play when, in T-ball, it seems like if the ball gets down, you're scoring easily. So I just don't understand why you're not watching that ball hit the turf or watching that ball into the glove. You saw the full view, the panoramic view. Didn't look much better either. So I wouldn't seek out that video if you haven't seen it, because it's not going to make you feel a whole lot better. But it's the same theme of the entire season. The Toronto Blue Jays beating themselves.
Carter, I have said time and time again, it is about the little things with this team. If they can do the little things right, they're going to look very similar to the 2025 team. Obviously, the offense needs to be better, but the little things, that's what is going to win you ball games. How many times has this team lost 1-2 run ball games that they should have won? It's mind-boggling right now. And to think that if one play goes differently or a couple plays and just of players having their heads screwed on straight, they win these games. It is very frustrating. This series, I think, to me, was maybe not the worst series loss of the year. I don't want to say that, but it felt like the most frustrating, because it felt like they were in all of these games and they had a chance. The Houston Astros are just not a good baseball team. I'll straight up say that. But right now, the Jays look like they're even worse when you look at this series. The offense can't do a thing. And I think we've known this for a long time, but it's getting shown time and time again.
Yeah, I feel like you've said that, and we've said that about a lot of different series throughout the season. Oh, that's the most frustrating one. That's the worst series of the year. When you say that so many times, it just goes to show, how frustrating it has been to watch this baseball team play. One of the worst parts is, it wasn't like Mike Burrows was Cy Young out there. It wasn't like he was dotting the corners, executing his pitches extremely well. There was at times where he threw some good pitches, like any starter in most outings. But Mike Burrows has not been good whatsoever this year. But like clockwork, the Toronto Blue Jays are making him look like the best pitcher in the league. I'm just going to go over some Mike Burrows stats up to this point in the season. So he has given up the 5th most home runs in baseball at 19. He has 19 home runs given up in the season. That's absolutely ridiculous. 4th most runs given up at 52 runs. That is the most runs given up in the American League. The 6th most hits given up in all of baseball. The Toronto Blue Jays aren't even able to generate hits. Usually the problem has been runners in scoring position. But with all of this considered, and looking at the pitches, looking at the mix, looking at where these pitches were located, he got ahead of hitters often, which helped out his stat line a little bit, which helped him be more effective in this ball game. Throwing a lot of pitches right down the middle, though, over the plate. It wasn't like the Toronto Blue Jays didn't have opportunities. It's not like he threw a perfect game. They had chances to open up this game. They had chances to do some damage, but they were unable to pull it off. And this is what leads to Mike Burrows having a stat line of 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, one of them being the Nathan Lucas home run. That was really the only big hit of this baseball game. 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. Again, it wasn't like the stuff was insane, but the Toronto Blue Jays helping him out throughout the entirety of the start and doing exactly what they have done all season. When they have a pitcher that they should be able to score off of and should be able to do damage off of, they fall flat on their face.
Yeah, absolutely. This was absolutely horrific. 4 hits in a baseball game is absolutely horrific. It's unexcusable. I don't care if you're the worst baseball team on the planet. I don't care if you're playing Little League. You should be able to get more than 4 hits, especially when it's on Burrows. I think this is absolutely asinine that we're having to sit here halfway through this season, which has been a questionable start to the season as it is, and say that, wow, the Blue Jays bats fell flat once again. Like, what are we kidding ourselves now? This isn't a new trend. It's not one of these situations where this team couldn't score the runners in scoring position, but they were getting on base. They couldn't do anything. And I don't know what more to say? Like, we're watching this, but it's not just Vladdy. It's not just, I don't know, name a name. It's up and down the lineup. Four hits. Daulton Varsho had 2 of them, and it was on, one of them was a horrible at-bat that he got a decent piece on an outside pitch, just sort of waiting for it. Other than that, Nathan Lucas shot at him. That was a great swing. He was all over that ball. But other than that, it was terrible. It was, I don't know, Carter. We talked about so much about getting to this team's bullpen so that, you can wear them out, wear them down, whatever. And the Astros bullpen comes in this game and shoves. Steven Okert shoves. King shoves. Hader comes in, and it's like, holy Christ, I've never seen a left-handed pitcher before in my life. I don't know, man. You know what? I'm so frustrated because it's been so up and down, right? You go through a couple game stretch where this team, you think, wow, okay, they're starting to figure out, they start to get it. And then it's this game. And you're like, oh my God, don't get me wrong, these games happen, but this isn't the first or second one of the season where something like this has happened. It's been every 5th game. They drop an absolute egg. I don't know.
And it makes all the little things get magnified when you don't run the bases perfectly, when you make one error in the outfield, when you swing at a couple bad pitches, when you don't come through on the odd at-bat. When you're scoring 1 run in a game, there is 0 room for error. And you saw it with Jeff Hoffman. You saw it on the bases once again. That, again, unfortunately, has been a common theme for the Blue Jays. But you don't notice that as much, and it doesn't have as big of an impact if you're scoring 4 runs, 5 runs, 6 runs in a baseball game, especially against one of the worst pitchers in all of baseball. Like, I'm not going to be too upset they didn't score on Hader. He's a very good pitcher. Okert's good as well. I mean, King, he has some good stuff. Again, has a little bit of command issues, but overall, not the worst bullpen arms out there. I think that's even understating it a little bit. It's Mike Burrows. It's, him going through the order 3 times. That is a spot you just have to take advantage of. If you can't hit off Mike Burrows, I mean, how are you going to expect the Blue Jays to hit off other pitchers? Somehow they have hit off pitchers like Sale, Skeens. They found ways to get it done against those guys, but when it's the guys that they should be scoring, getting crooked numbers on, scoring 7, 8 runs on, they're unable to muster any sort of offense whatsoever. So it's top down. I mean, it's Vladimir Guerrero Jr., George Springer not very good in this game. I'm not going to blame Okamoto too much, but not a very good game from him. Ernie Clement having that hip issue is becoming a problem for this offense, a guy that was kind of in the middle of things. I mean, where do you look? Where do you go for the offense when it's, again, the top guys in your lineup, unfortunately, not being able to come through? There's some other guys that we can talk about. I mean, Sean Keys is really making his name known in AAA this year. Pinongo, when you had him up, he was effective. But Sean Keys, another left-handed hitter, who plays first and third base. How does he fit into your lineup? At this point, does Sean Keys even help things? Once again, when your top dogs aren't hitting consistently at all. 4 runs in a game, you're not going to win a lot of baseball games. And that is one of many reasons why the Blue Jays have not won many baseball games.
Well, Carter, talking about Sean Keys and some of the other guys in AAA that could potentially help this team, Ross Atkins had a bunch of quotes in regards to those guys and some more from his media availability the other day that we did not get to. So we'll get to all of that, fill you guys in. Plus, obviously, series preview. And we'll talk about this 15-game stretch, then how we expected the Toronto Blue Jays to do, where they're at, and what's going to happen coming up. We'll take a quick pause, and we'll be right back with everything.
Today's episode is sponsored by Hims. ED is way more common than most guys think, and millions of men deal with it at some point. Hims offers a simple and convenient way to take care of your health by connecting you with a licensed healthcare provider online, giving you access to personalized treatment options from the comfort of your own home. There are no awkward appointments, no pharmacy lines, just a straightforward process designed to make getting care be easier. Taking care of yourself shouldn't feel complicated, and Hims makes the process private and easy to navigate. It's healthcare built around your schedule and around your comfort. Between work, family, and everything else going on, finding time for these appointments can be very tough. Having access to those licensed providers online means that you can prioritize your health without having to rearrange your entire day. So you can get simple and online access to personalized and affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more by visiting hims.com/lockedonmlb. That is hims.com/lockedonmlb for your free online visit. hims.com/lockedonmlb. Prescription required. See website for details and important safety information. Sildenafil is a generic version of Viagra. Viagra is a registered trademark of Viatris Specialty LLC. Hims is not affiliated with or endorsed by Viatris.
Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every match feels like it has the potential for a memorable moment. One goal can completely change the energy of a game, shift momentum, and alter the outcome in an instant. That's what makes tournament soccer so exciting, from the opening whistle to the final kick. Now FanDuel is giving fans another reason to stay locked into every match with every goal pays. Bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. More goals means more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your tokens. I have been watching a ton of soccer lately with Team Canada doing a little bit, well, good for once, moving on for once. And yesterday's game was absolutely exciting. I really thought they were going to make a comeback there late in the game. Obviously didn't happen, but nice to see Canada move on. From the opening whistle to final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. So, Carter, a bunch of things I want to get into, but I have to go back to some of the Ross Atkins big points that came out of the media availability that we didn't get to touch on. And you brought up one guy, and that's Sean Keys, who is actually a main point of talking, I guess, in this. So I'll get right into it. Adding defensive versatility to Sean Keys' game would be great. But if he's good enough, we'll find a way for him to help the team. That's in Ross Atkins' words, word for word. There you go. That's great. But how? I don't understand. You're not taking Okamoto out. You're not taking Vladimir Guerrero Jr. out, obviously. Maybe you move him to second base if he's bringing the type of bat. I think that's really the only option here with him right now.
That would be the thing that they do. John Schneider said that they kind of had a similar situation with Spencer Horwitz, a guy that played first base, slid him over to second base. Was it the most effective thing defensively? No, it wasn't. But when you look at the Toronto Blue Jays, are you really worried about second base when you have either Andres Gimenez or Ernie Clement starting at shortstop? That's one of those positions that they can kind of feed off each other. You have Vladdy at first base. He is a pretty good defender as well. So I wouldn't be opposed, highlighting this team's upside and getting another guy that's been hitting home runs left, right, and center. Doesn't matter if it's in AA or AAA. Has only played a few games in AAA, but already is really establishing himself, as one of the best hitters on that Bison's team. So you're getting to a point where if he's going to continue to keep hitting at this rate, why wouldn't you want to see what he has at the major league level? At this point, you need the upside, you need the power, you need a little bit of adrenaline throughout this lineup. You need someone to kind of start things, maybe to get the people fired up, get the dugout going. Sort of like the Davis Schneider, I know you're going to like this example, from 2023. The offense wasn't really firing whatsoever. I mean, I'm not going to say what happened to the offense for the rest of that season, but hopefully you can kind of capture that exact same thing. Maybe not to that point, but if Sean Keys can give you anything, you got to find a way to get him and this bat into this lineup. The only issue, another left-handed bat, which it would have been the perfect world for him to be a righty. But as John Schneider said, as Ross Atkins said, if he is hitting as hot as he is, you got to find a way to get him into this lineup.
And just talking about more of the young guys, Ross Atkins was asked about Ricky Tiedemann, and this is what he had to say for him making a direct impact on the team in 2026. Ricky Tiedemann would need a stretch of several effective weeks pitching to be a factor at all this season, which at this point, I don't have faith that Ricky Tiedemann can put together 2 outings without, going down on the IL or something, because this guy is just made of glass.
Yeah, who has a more likely chance of being injured at this point, Max Scherzer or Ricky Tiedemann?
It's close.
That's a question that's going to be tough to be answered, but the answer to that question is they're not available almost ever. We talked about it in spring training as one of our keys for spring training. It wasn't like Ricky Tiedemann, throw 15 scoreless innings. It was Ricky Tiedemann, throw 5 innings in general, just stay healthy. And unfortunately, he just simply has not been able to do that. If he does come back at some point, which my expectations are at the floor at an all-time low, be very surprised if Ricky Tiedemann has an impact on his team whatsoever. But it would be out of the bullpen. You wouldn't expect him to be stretched out. You wouldn't really want to chance him throwing 4 or 5 innings. With all that injury history, you'd probably let it eat for 1 inning, 15 to 20 pitches at most, and then you get him the hell out of there, hopefully ready and recovered for the next day. But yeah, not really high expectations from Ricky Tiedemann. But it's the same theme as it has been for the last 4 years at this point. Just stay healthy enough to throw some innings.
It's funny. For those of you that don't know, me and Carter started a Blue Jays podcast before we started with Locked On. And I remember we did 5 episodes or something. It was garbage. But we did, I think, a whole segment of the show talking about Ricky Tiedemann and how excited we were for what he can do and what he can become. And it's weird that now we're still having those exact same conversations 3 to 4 years later. It absolutely blows my mind. But there you go, a little backstory on us as well. Atkins also discussed about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He is very encouraged by the line drives to the middle and the other way from Vladdy the last few weeks. Okay. You're not going to, dog the guy. I totally understand that. But I mean, my reaction to this is I'm not. Until he starts doing something, I'm not going to sit here and pump the guy's tires for no reason. I love Vladdy, but I don't love him right now the way he's playing. It's pretty god-awful, Carter.
And just imagine a world where Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is even being half the player that he was last year, half the player he was in the playoffs. You could probably account for 3 to 4 more wins if Vladdy gets 1 or 2 hits in a lot of these games when he has runners in scoring position, has guys on first base, has runners on. If he could hit gaps, if he could just slug even slightly, it's not even the slug a lot of the times, if he can just get base hits, which we were complaining about in April, but man, would I do crazy things for Vladdy to get base hits consistently at this point. So it's a tough process, and we're seeing him over adjust in game to a lot of these at-bats early on, just sinkers inside, and then he's sitting on the sinker inside, and what do? They throw up any sort of breaking pitch. It could be a changeup, a slider, a curveball, sweeper, whatever it is outside. He is way out in front of it, and then he's waiting on the breaking pitch the next AB, and it's fastballs inside once again, fastballs high. He's never seemingly guessing the right pitch. It's never seeming like he's waiting on the right pitch, and the timing is continuously off in all facets, whether it is the fastball, whether it is a breaking pitch, whether it's off speed, no matter what it is. It seems like Vladdy either has the barrel too far around or he's not getting his hands around quick enough to get the barrel around to get that pull side power. So it's just been frustrating at bats up and down from Vladdy since April, since this entire season. It's just gotten worse and worse, unfortunately, up to this point. Probably the most lost we've seen Vladimir Guerrero Jr. really at all in his major league career.
Carter, I like to look into guys' swings, right? When things aren't going well, I try to look for differences in the swings. And I've talked about that before when Vladdy was struggling a little bit at the beginning of the season, talking about how he's really getting out on that front foot super early and how that's probably a leading to a timing issue. The timing issue is leading to him being out on that front foot very, very early, getting rid of that leg kick, going more to a toe tap. That's a problem. Now, the other thing I'm seeing, Carter, is weight distribution. Where is his weight being held when he is trying to time up a pitch? It feels like when a pitch is on the outside of the plate and he's diving at it, you're seeing him. It's like he's transferring that weight so late to his front of his feet that he's almost sitting on his heels a lot of the time during the at-bat and then sort of trying to explode forward onto his tippy toes. Whereas realistically, when you're trying to hit an outside pitch, you're sort of driving off those toes instead of just falling onto them. So just another little piece there. Again, I'm just trying to pick apart Vladimir Guerrero Jr. right now because, I want to, I don't know, do my part. I'll do whatever. I'll give him my left arm if I have to get him hitting again. So I don't know, just a little bit of an interesting tidbit I've been seeing there when he is trying to dive at those outside pitches. It doesn't look like it's a fluid, strong swing on the outside of the plate. It's like he's diving, leaping at it off his tippy toes.
And he wears his emotion on his face. Like, you could see that he's not swinging at good pitches. The pitches that he's missing that are right down the middle, you could see it in his face that, I probably should have did damage on that pitch. And I think he's hyper aware of what he's doing at the plate, which is actually a hindrance to what he's doing out there. Overthinking. There's so much going on in that guy's head. The All-Star break couldn't come fast enough for him, but he's going to be the number one first baseman, probably an all-star starter somehow. And unfortunately, we just continue to dog on him every single podcast. We don't like doing it, but that's just what's going on. That's right in front of our faces. I would love to come out here after Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has 10 home runs in a month, say, Vladdy's back, the face of the franchise, the superstar that this team is needing at this point. But we just haven't really seen anything of that at all, at least consistently. Maybe the odd flash here and there 4 times throughout the season, but 4 times isn't enough 80 games into a year.
Well, and Carter, I think that's, most of you guys that have been here watching us, through this season, last season, the year before, whenever you started following us or subscribing or whatever it is, you guys know we don't pull punches. Why would you listen to us at all if you think that we're just going to handpick guys that we like this guy, so we're not going to talk bad about him. What's the point of that? Then why are you listening? You're going to have, we're on here because we're fans of this team, and when they play bad, we're not going to be thrilled about it. When they play good, we're going to be over the moon. That's just how fan bases go. So we hope you guys appreciate that, Carter. Last little piece from Ross Atkins here. No full update on Yimi Garcia. This was of 2 days or a day and a half ago now. So again, we're hopefully going to hear something and how he's going to somehow make his return and not be a dead man, sort of in the Ricky Tiedemann vein. But right now it doesn't look fantastic, him going to the doctors and everything. So I don't know, man, about Yimi. I don't know. I don't know about my boy.
Yeah, I don't like the language being used by Ross Atkins, saying it's a complex problem with how the nerves integrate from the shoulder down the arm into the elbow into the forearm. I don't like the GM trying to play doctor. I'm not going to try to play doctor here, but with all the soreness that we've been hearing from Yimi Garcia after these starts, his inability to go back-to-back outings. I mean, you need this guy fully healthy if he's going to be inserted in this bullpen, especially with like their lack of ability to make any mistakes because they're so magnified because his offense is so horrible. So if Yimi Garcia is throwing 93 and he's not really any form of himself and he's going to go in there and blow baseball games, I mean, that's going to happen to relievers at some point, but especially with a fan base that is getting a little bit irritated with what they're seeing, which I mean, I completely understand about. I don't think they're going to be too inclined to want to see Yimi Garcia not 100% throwing 93, 94, and then possibly getting his doors blown off by hitters, even though the teams that they're playing upcoming aren't necessarily the best teams, but you want Yimi Garcia definitely at full health when he does return to the Toronto Blue Jays roster. But the homestand does not end. There still is 2 more series that the Toronto Blue Jays have a big impact, or that will have a big impact on the rest of the Blue Jays season, teams that they should be able to beat, and it all starts with a 4-game series against the Texas Rangers. We'll dive into that after this short break.
Today's episode brought to you by Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them work together. They don't talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform, from sales and accounting to inventory and marketing. Everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focused on growing the business instead of managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working towards the same goal. And that's true in sports, just like it is in business. I mean, we talk about it all the time in Toronto Blue Jays baseball. You can't just have the pitching one day and no hitting. You got to have the pitching, the hitting, the defense, all of it working together to get you those wins. That's where Odoo comes in. Great organizations win because operations matter, and that's why you should get Odoo. Try it for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon.
Today's episode is also sponsored by Indeed. Workplace chaos can show up fast, and that's where Indeed Sponsored Jobs comes into play. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the candidates who actually fit what you're looking for based off their skills, experience, and their location. Finding the right person can make all the difference, whether it's building a business or building a winning team. The best organizations aren't trying to look for every possible option. They're hyper-focused on identifying the people who truly match what they're looking for. For the Toronto Blue Jays, they should be pretty focused on finding a right-handed bat that could slug. They could use a bullpen arm. Unfortunately for the Blue Jays, they could use a lot of different candidates. Before your business, before your organization, finding that candidate that fits your needs perfectly can put your team and business at that huge advantage. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing those candidates who check all of your boxes. There's less time involved, less stress, and you get more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is the job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help your job get the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is the job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Well, Carter, as we continue, a 4-game set, the Blue Jays versus the Rangers. But then after that, welcome Canada Day. Welcome back, Bo Bichette. Blue Jays, Mets. Ooh, this is going to be an interesting 7-gamer between these two teams, Carter. The Rangers, the Blue Jays need to pick up some wins against this one, and then it's going to be an all-out dogfight between two teams that are not performing as probably their organizations felt they should have to start the season. We'll get your thoughts on Bo Bichette and the Mets coming up and just sort of how this 15-game stretch that we have talked about immensely have gone. But the Rangers, the Blue Jays in a 4-game set, thoughts, feelings, where are you at?
It's going to be a series that matters a lot down the stretch. The Rangers are a team that are battling for that last wildcard spot with the Toronto Blue Jays, along with the Astros, along with the Athletics, along with the Orioles, teams that you've been playing a lot recently. And you do play coming up as well. But with the Texas Rangers, a 4-game set, that could decide the tiebreaker right here. And after losing a series to the Astros that honestly you could have swept, especially against a pitching staff that is one of the worst in all of baseball, It's tough to imagine that the Toronto Blue Jays are going to bounce back, but the issue is they need to bounce back. They need to win this series after what they did against the Houston Astros. The Texas Rangers offense, kind of the same thing as the Astros pitching. The offense is not very good. Josh Young is in the middle of that lineup. There's some other guys that can do some things from time to time, but you got a home series, you got a 4-gamer, you got a lot of the pitchers that you want in this scenario. Mackenzie Gore versus Kevin Gausman in the first game. Unfortunately, Mackenzie Gore being a left-handed pitcher, that kind of puts the Toronto Blue Jays up against the odds because we have seen how bad they are at hitting left-handed pitching. Honestly, how bad they have been at hitting pitching consistently, but obviously a little bit better against the right-handers with all the left-handed hitters that the Blue Jays have within their lineup. So David Schneider going to be in the lineup. You'll probably have Urias in the lineup here as well. Hopefully Ernie Clement, if he doesn't have that hip injury, that's a huge bat, especially against those left-handed pitchers, that a guy that traditionally can mash those lefties. So hopefully you kind of have all your guys at your disposal. You're still going to have George Springer in the lineup. You're still going to have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the lineup. You're going to have those guys that need to pick it up if you want this team to be successful. Springer has been better recently. The last couple of games haven't been great, but I mean, that's going to happen from time to time. But you need your face of the franchise players to be the face of the franchise. You need the guys that are making the most money on the Blue Jays to play like they're making the most money on the Blue Jays, and they are the most important players on this team.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Carter, I'm going to go over just the pitching matchups as we get them. You give me your projections. I'll give you mine because I can tell you exactly where I'm going with this one. Game 1, Mackenzie Gore, Kevin Gausman. Game 2, Nathan Eovaldi and Patrick Corbin. Game 3 and 4 for the Rangers are unconfirmed, TBD as of right now. Dylan Cease and Shane Bieber. Nathan Eovaldi and Mackenzie Gore, if you look at their statistics on paper, you think, oh, the Blue Jays should do well against. These are two good pitchers. Maybe not the statistics to back them up, as they both have over a 4 ERA right now. Mackenzie Gore sitting at 92 strikeouts and Eovaldi sitting at 92 strikeouts on the season. So I'll kick it off, Carter. I think this will be a split, as a ton of 4-game series end up being splits in the long run, if you look over a bigger span. So I'm going to say the Blue Jays are going to drop the first 2. We're going to be thinking, oh my God, the world is ending. And then Dylan Cease and Shane Bieber are going to come up and secure the win for the Blue Jays in the back 2 there.
Yeah, in those last 2 games, it will be Kumar Rocker, or at least should be Kumar Rocker for the Texas Rangers, and then you have Cal Quantrill against Shane Bieber. So that is what it's projected to be, not exactly confirmed, but usually you have a pretty good sense of who's going to pitch just when you look back at the schedule. For the Jays, I would have been okay with a split if you win the series against the Astros. Again, I would have loved if you swept the series against the Astros, which was definitely attainable. I mean, if you score any runs in that 3rd game, I don't even want to talk about the 2nd game. Pick your poison. Tyler Rogers, Brendan Valenzuela. George Springer, Vladdy with a runner on 3rd base to win the game. They don't come through, and that's the common theme, as we've talked about every single podcast. It feels like opportunity being present and opportunity being there, the Toronto Blue Jays not being able to cash in on that opportunity. That's why the Toronto Blue Jays sit here 2 games below 500. I'm going to try this spin zone out. I'm going to try to say that there's going to be a series win, and I'm going to do the opposite of you. I think they're going to pick it up here, win the first 3, and then Shane Bieber, I'm losing a little bit of confidence. It was his first rehab start, but when you're throwing the ball 91.5, that does cause a little bit of concern for me if you're not perfect with all of your other pitches. But that's a very successful series if you're the Blue Jays. If you win 3 out of 4, I'd be, I guess, okay with 2 out of 4. Actually, no, I'm not going to say that. I would not be okay with 2 out of 4. This Thursday game is the halfway point of the season. At that point, you're starting to look ahead, and the games are getting lower and lower. You've played more games than are ahead of you. At some point, you got to turn it on. Maybe it can start against the Texas Rangers. Not very confident in that. We've said that a lot of times. I mean, you're running out of time is kind of the point I'm getting at here. They got to start somewhere, and hopefully it runs through the big man, number 27 on the Blue Jays.
Yeah, you need it to. I mean, again, I always talk about the George Springer home run on Canada today that cemented it in my mind that this team was a playoff team and going to do damage and had that magical stuff. But up to that point, you were seeing things before that were leading to that moment. Right now, we do not see the build-up, the lead-up to a big moment on Canada today, which is very worrying. Carter, as we kick out of here for the day, I may be back tomorrow. I may not be. I have a late shift. I got to work the Winnipeg Blue Bombers game for those of you in Canada, CFL. So I won't be out there till like midnight, maybe. So there may be Skylar Peters. It may be me. We'll have to wait and see. I want to bring up the Everydayer Club that you guys can check out. It's $5 a month. You get ad-free audio, exclusive access to the Discord channel, the merch shop, all that. And you can cancel anytime. If it's not for you, it's not for you. We totally understand. But check it out, because that's where we talk to guys like Jim Holler and some of the guys from our fantasy group chat as well that we got going. So
yeah,
check
should I
that
finally
out.
bring it up? Should I bring up the huge victory to make me 151-0 against you in all-time fantasy, whether it's baseball, football, hockey? Doesn't matter. I mean,
I suck at baseball fantasy. That's where we're at.
Just like the Blue Jays kind of suck at baseball. At least their offense kind of sucks at baseball. I mean, this is the last thing I'll leave with the people. You talked about Canada Day last year. Who did they play? They played a New York team. It's not quite the right New York team, but hey, it's the Mets rolling into town. Hopefully we don't have to wait until then. Hopefully it starts this weekend against the Rangers, but we'll have to see. I mean, I feel pretty foolish saying that almost every single podcast, but you got to believe in this team until you just can't anymore, and it sucks all the life out of you. We're getting close to that. We're not quite there, but thank you guys for watching. All of you guys sticking with us for what has been a crazy season up to this point. Hopefully there's better things ahead for all of our mental health. Thank you guys for watching. And at least I will be back with you guys again tomorrow.